He's Blake. I'm Ronnie, and we're back. Blake, March Madness White Boy Edition, taking the channel by storm. Tens of views. We're loving it. To recap really quickly, Tom Brady region. Tom Brady advanced.
Yes. Larry Bird region.
Larry Bird advanced.
Larry Bird advanced.
George Washington region. We had, I believe it was Chuck Norris. Yes. And then the Ronald Reagan division, Magnus Ver Magnusson, the power lifter. Today, Blake, the new region about to be unveiled to Blake for the first time. It's the John Wayne region, Blake. I'll let you look over it, and then I'll read it. I'll let it all sink into you.
My goodness. Going down the list, we got John Wayne, Randy Travis, one of my favorite country singers, JFK, who's in the current spotlight still 60 years later, Tim Allen, Matthew McConaughey, hey, Elvis, Kenny Rogers, and Scott Hall being in this. That is
it's a Tim pick.
Okay. Well, listen, I mean, if he was voted on enough times, then he made the 64.
For the people that may not have seen the four previous regions, brackets, whatever you want to call them, this is how each bracket was chosen. Each member of ATGNAT was asked to give 10 white boys that represent white boy isms. So after collecting the list of 10 from everybody, we had to weed out the ones that didn't belong. Then we ranked them. The ones that were mentioned the most were given the number one seeds, hence John Wayne. Once the 8 number one seeds were established, we then spun the wheel to place everybody else where they go. So Kenny Rogers landed first in this bracket to become the 2 seed. That's how this worked. JFK was next, and that's how we got our matchups. So first, leading off at the top, we've got John Wayne versus number 8, Randy Travis. Let's go to the tail of the tape, Blake. John Wayne, legendary actor, achieved fame for his iconic portrayals of cowboys, soldiers, and particular in westerns and war films, earning an Academy Award for the movie True Grit. Westerns that he starred in: Stagecoach in 1939, The Searchers in 1956, True Grit, like we said before, where he won the Academy Award for Best Actor for his role as Rooster Cogburn, The Quiet Man in 1952, Red River in 48, and She Wore a Yellow Ribbon in 1949. Going over to his World War II films, The Sands of Iwo Jima in 1949 and The Green Berets in 1968. Other notable films: The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, a great movie, Blake. The Alamo from 1960. Beyond acting, he entertained the troops during World War II. He was a passionate advocate for early checkups and did numerous public service announcements for the American Cancer Society. Though best known for his westerns and film roles, a few of his best. Okay, we already got all that. And there we go. That's John Wayne. He'll be squaring off against country music legend Randy Travis, Blake. Now, you may remember Randy Travis as the drunk who they found butt-ass naked laying on a gravel road before he had a stroke and ruined everything.
Yeah.
But before that, he was like an angel, Blake. So,
on the other hand.
But on the other hand,
there's me in the sand. He was the first country artist to go platinum with his debut album, Storms of Life. He was the first debuting country artist to go multi-platinum, Blake. He had 16 number one singles on the U.S. Billboard Country Singles Chart. He had 13 more singles reach the top 10. His album, Always and Forever, reached quintuple platinum. How much is quintuple, Blake? He had 5 albums top the country music album chart. Awards and recognition: he won 7 Grammys, Blake. He won 11 Academy of Country Music Awards. He won 10 American Music Awards. He won 2 People's Choice Awards. He won 7 Music City News Awards. He won 8 Dove Awards. Is that like the soap?
Yeah.
From the Gospel Music Association. He is considered a new traditionalist, influenced future country stars like Garth Brooks, Clint Black, Travis Tritt. That's not true. He made his Grand Ole Opry debut on March 7th, 1987. He's recently into worship gospel albums because he almost died and he can't talk. And he's trying to. He experienced a stroke in 2013 that left him unable to speak or move without assistance. He was diagnosed with aphasia, a condition that significantly impacts his speech. Big time drunk, big time superstar Blake. John Wayne versus Randy Travis. What are you thinking about this matchup?
This is tough, man, because I am a Randy Travis guy. I love his music. I can't say that I'm much of a John Wayne guy. I don't know if I've ever watched a John Wayne movie from start to finish, but you got to respect. What's that?
Nothing.
You got to respect the career that he had. I know some stuff came out a few years ago. I think it was like in Playboy magazine or something about John Wayne, and you know how they found out he said some things that back in the day may have been okay, but don't hold up very well. In fact, it might have been John Wayne in our chat the other day. Randy Travis was the voice of a character on Hey Arnold, which was one of my favorite Nickelodeon shows growing up.
I'm Arnold.
No. I got to go John Wayne. I mean, it's John Wayne. When you think of legendary Western actor, when you think of white guy, it's John Wayne, you know. He's got the boots on. He's got the hat. He's always got a loaded gun on his hip. Got to go John Wayne for me, Ronnie. Who you got?
I'm going to agree 100%. John Wayne. When I think white guys, I think John Wayne. He is the epitome of the cowboy. And when you think of white guys, they always watch these Westerns. So there you go. And plus, he was on an episode of Beverly Hillbillies one time. So they say he also wore a wig. Great guys wear wigs. So there you go with that, Blake.
Randy Travis being naked and in the back of a cop car. God, I love that image. But
that's white guy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that almost put him over the edge. But the fact that he's ashamed of what he did, I got to put John Wayne over him. And I Googled it. Ronnie quintuplet is 5.
Okay. So John Wayne advances. Let's move on to the bottom of the bracket, Blake. Kenny Rogers, country music singer, actor, chicken maker, versus Scott Hall, degenerate drunk wrestler.
Yeah. Arguably founder of the NWO.
There you go. So Kenny Rogers, major accomplishments. Music career, he had 24 number one hits on the Billboard, 24 number one hits on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, including classics like The Gambler, Lady, and Islands in the Stream. Album sales, Rogers sold over 120 million albums worldwide, making him one of the biggest selling male artists of all time. He received numerous awards, including 3 Grammys, 5 Country Music Awards, and 8 Academy of Country Music Awards. Country, that doesn't seem like a lot for somebody that sung as long as he did, Blake.
Did he get any BAFTA awards?
Rogers was inducted in the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2013. He is one of the first country music artists to consistently sell out arena shows, Blake. He had successful duets with Dolly Parton, including the hit Islands in the Stream, like we mentioned earlier. Others include Dottie West, Kim Carnes, and Sheena Easton. Cross-genre success, his music crossed over to pop, adult contemporary, and even R&B charts, Blake. So he had that gold grill going on. Nice. The Gambler TV movie. So his hit number one song of The Gambler led to a successful TV movie of the same name with Rogers starring as character Brady Hawks. I think they made like 80 of those. Autobiography. He published his autobiography. I thought I was going to say Lick It or Sniff It, but it's Luck or Something Like It in 2012. In 2016, Rogers embarked on a farewell tour, The Gambler's Last Deal, final world tour. In 2006, Water and Bridges was a hit, entering the top 5 on the Billboard Country Albums chart and 15 on the Billboard 200. He was also a photographer. He released several books of his photos. Kenny Rogers Roaster. He co-founded a chain of Kenny Rogers Roasters restaurants, Blake. I wonder if those were successful. Can you look that up real quick?
Well, they did appear on an episode of Seinfeld.
There you go. Television appearances. He made appearances on television, including commercials and TV specials. Christmas in Canaan TV movie. He wrote the book and starred in the TV movie Christmas in, I think it's Canaan, whatever. Rogers sold nearly 100 million records worldwide. This says he had 4 Grammys, not 3, 11 People's Choice Awards, and 5 Country Music Association, 8 Academy. Okay, so there you go. That is Kenny Rogers. Everybody knows him. I'd love to try some of that chicken. And he squares off against professional wrestler Scott Hall, known as Razor Ramon in the WWE and the bad guy in WCW. He was a highly influential wrestler, a 4-time WWF Intercontinental Champion, a 2-time United States Champion, and founding member of the NWO, the New World Order, with Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan. And although he never won a world championship in a major promotion, he held the WWC Universal Heavyweight Championship once for the Puerto Rico-based World Wrestling Council. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as a singles competitor in 2014 and as a member of the NWO in 2020. So he's a 2-time member of the WWE Hall of Fame. He's got some great stuff out there, like when he was drunk at the Independent show and they brought him in the ring anyway and didn't spin. DDP got him back right. He died immediately after. And there you go. That's Scott Hall, one of my favorite wrestlers. I remember it because at the time I was watching wrestling and nobody had held the Intercontinental title more than twice. So when he was going for the belt, I was like, well, he's going to lose here because they don't give the Intercontinental title 3 times to one person. And boom, he won it. So he was the one that crossed through the barrier of the first 3-time Intercontinental champion. Great looking guy, great character. Hair was awesome. Great body, good attitude, great comedic timing in wrestling.
Yeah.
He was great, but also that was just what we saw on TV. Behind the screen or behind the scenes, didn't seem like he was very well liked there towards the end. Had a lot of issues drinking, but so does Kenny Rogers. We could throw Kenny Rogers on the same boat. Kenny Rogers had terrible plastic surgery. His face was awful there during the end. So, Blake, it really depends on who do you like more here. Who is the ultimate white boy when it comes to Kenny Rogers versus Scott Hall? I'll lead it off. My turn. I'm going to go. I got to go Kenny Rogers on accomplishments alone. Everybody, you know, the records, the Grammys, the movies, the chicken. I guess you could break it down. Who, if you asked somebody, you got 100 people and asked them Kenny Rogers or Scott Hall, I think more people are going to answer Kenny Rogers. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's tough. I was about to say, obviously, I know more about Scott Hall than I do Kenny Rogers because I grew up a wrestling fan. And I mean, I don't know, like some stuff about Scott Hall, some positive stuff, I should say. Like he was one of the few guys, and you talked about like the way he looked. Like to me, that is almost the perfect wrestling body. Like if you could say if a genie came in here right now and said, Blake,
make a wrestler.
What wrestler you want to look like? I would choose Scott Hall's body because I just think it's the ideal. And the guy's like 6'7". Like people don't realize just how big this dude was, but he wasn't like these selfish wrestlers that only cared about himself. You know, as far as that's like, do you remember? I was in kindergarten. He let the 1, 2, 3 kid beat him when 1, 2, 3 kid was a nobody.
I was watching it live.
He let Jericho and a few other guys beat him early in WCW because he and like Bischoff was like they were getting on to him. Management was getting on to him like, why are you letting these guys beat you? We told you had to win. And he's like, it does nothing for me if I beat them, but if they beat me, they become somebody. So like little stuff like that. The ladder match, right?
Yeah, Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 10.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue he created the too sweet hand gesture, which, you know, they still do that today. And then, you know, something that he really don't get credit for enough, he invented the Crow character for Sting, which completely changed his life. But at the end of the day, Ronnie, he was a drunk. He was a terrible husband, a terrible father, never held a world title, never had a woman. I'm going Kenny Rogers because he was the gambler. He had the chicken. Episode of Seinfeld. You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. Survey says Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, and plus when you come away with those two names, you think Scott Hall, it's hard not to feel bad about what he became.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers, of course, he had the bad plastic surgery, but when you think Kenny Rogers, you think good stuff. So I think it's a good move. Kenny Rogers advances to the second round. Moving on up, Blake, JFK versus Tim Allen. This looks like it might be a mismatch.
It does.
JFK, former president, greatest accomplishments include the peaceful resolution of the Cuban Missile Crisis, establishing the Peace Corps, and the Limited Test Ban Treaty, which banned nuclear testing in the atmosphere, underwater, and outer space. Civil rights. He also championed civil rights, advocating for legislation that would protect African Americans against discrimination in voting and employment. Thought he was assassinated before this, though he was assassinated before the Civil Rights Act fully passed. Kennedy won the 1960 presidential election against Richard Nixon in a very close election, and his ability to connect with the public and the use of the media effectively was a key factor in his victory. What a lot of people don't know, of course, he was assassinated in Dallas in 1963. We can talk about Marilyn Monroe and all the affairs, the secret tunnel into the White House that he would sneak women into, allegedly. But he really took advantage of the first televised debate against Nixon. Richard Nixon was way smarter, better candidate, but when they both were on the stage for TV, Richard Nixon was sweating. He looked uncomfortable. He looked mean. Meanwhile, JFK looked cool as a cucumber, smiling, handsome. People saw that. They voted for JFK. He became the president. And to this day, the JFK mysteries are still out there and people still talk about them. They're talking about them right now. This may date this episode, but this weekend it was reported that there's footage from the assassination out there, and Oswald was near the car, so he couldn't have been the one that actually did it. You know how these loonies are when it comes to the JFK assassination. Great guy, I guess. Hell, who knows? Let's move on to Tim Allen. Or do you want to vote right now? All right. Tim Allen's an American comedian that's known for his role in the sitcom Home Improvement, known for playing Tim the Toolman Taylor on the ABC sitcom Home Improvement from 1991 to 99, which he won a Golden Globe Award. And he plays Mike Baxter on the ABC Fox sitcom Last Man Standing up until 2021. He's the voice of the space guy.
Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story. He was he's really famous for being a cokehead. He got arrested and he's got that mugshot up. He was in Galaxy Quest. He was in a bunch of movies. Look, he took advantage, Blake, of this, and the Santa Claus, another iconic role. We already said Buzz Lightyear. You Love Christmas with the Cranks. He did a bunch. Galaxy Quest is a cult classic. He did a bunch of great movies along the lines while Home Improvement was going on. Home Improvement was a very successful sitcom, and he took advantage and was rewarded mightily as one of the top paid sitcom stars during his time. Made a ton of money. Hopefully he didn't waste it. Very funny. My cup of tea. I like Tim Allen. So it bounces back to you, Blake. John F. Kennedy versus Tim Allen. Who you taking?
I'm a huge fan of the Toy Story franchise. I'm a huge fan of Home Improvement. I hadn't watched his new show. My wife enjoys his new show, or I don't know if it's a new show, his other show, I'll call it. I love Galaxy Quest. Never give up. Never surrender. I love Christmas with the Cranks. I watch it every December. The Santa Claus movie, the original, the first one, is great. The sequels aren't that good, but there's like 3 or 4 of those sequels, plus a TV show that came on Disney Plus. I mean, you could argue Tim Allen is the ultimate Christmas guy when it comes to movies and TV shows.
Another bracket.
But that Toy Story franchise, man, I mean, those first 3 movies might be the best trilogy of all time. I know they got a 5th one coming out soon. I'm going Tim Allen, and it's a no-brainer for me. And that's not a pun on JFK, but Tim Allen, next round.
Okay, so
Upset City.
Upset. You've got a 6 taking down a 3 right here. It's hard to – okay, JFK, obviously one of the most influential presidents of all time. Everybody loves JFK. But when it comes down to it, Tim Allen is JFK came from rich people.
Yeah.
To become the president. Tim Allen was arrested peddling coke and still made it back. Top stand-up comic. Worked his way into Home Improvement. Shouldn't have been a good show, but he made it great. You know, it's about him. Those kids were great. The wife was great.
Al.
He parlayed it into another sitcom. He parlayed it into movies. When you think about sitcoms, he's one of the first guys you think of. That's how good he was in Home Improvement. And anybody that can pick themselves up from the dirt after Coke and become a superstar, and now he's getting hammered in there, but that's just the way the climate is these days. Tim Allen is my pick to advance. We have our first upset of this bracket. Tim Allen advances to the second round, Blake.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Last matchup of the first round. We've got Matthew McConaughey and Blake. I don't know if we're going to find any major accomplishments for him. I know he won the Academy Award for playing that homo that had AIDS. Let's find out real quick. Matthew McConaughey.
Sexiest man alive, Ronnie.
Oh, God, he was the sexiest man alive. And he's this sexy. Magic Mike. Academy Award for Best Actor for his role as Ron Woodruff in Dallas Buyers Club. Golden Globe for the same movie. Critically acclaimed roles. Oh, True Detective. We didn't even bring up True Detective is maybe the best season of television ever. Him and Woody Harrelson. Him and Munson doing it up, trying to catch a serial killer. That show is great. He's known as his different roles. He played the guy that killed the dragon in the Dragon movie, Reign of Fire. He's Magic Mike, showing off those abs in Magic Mike movie, which I know he's not Magic Mike, but he's in Magic Mike, playing a stripper. He starred in the movie Mud. He was in that movie where his brother is a dwarf, and then he gets somebody pregnant, and they find out she's pregnant with a dwarf.
Yes.
So he runs off and abandons them because he didn't want to have a dwarf son. I mean, he's done it all, Blake. Matthew McConaughey, good looking. He's one of the rare people that doesn't get made fun of for having hair plugs. If you go back and watch Ed TV, that hair is going. It's moving back, and then all of a sudden, boom, perfect hairline. And you know what he credits that with, Blake? He said he was stressing out. His hair was falling out, so he shaved his head, and it just grew back perfectly. So there you go. Matthew McConaughey, great hair. He flirted with running for governor about a year ago, but he didn't. I love Matthew McConaughey. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. He's in it. He's great in it. The movie where all the racists in Mississippi, Time to Kill. He's good in it. He's good in everything. We didn't even mention the fact that he's in the what's the name of the movie, Blake, where he's like they get older or I get older, they stay the same age.
That's what I was going to say. He might have the most quotable quote of all time in Dazed and Confused with "All right, all right, all right."
So we move on to
high school girls, man. I keep getting older, but they stay the same age.
We're moving on to his opponent, Elvis Presley. Yeah. Known as the king of rock and roll, achieved immense success as a singer and actor. First off, thank you, AI Overview, for the information here in our March Madness White Boy tournament. We couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you.
Selling over 300 million albums, starring in 31 box office films, and earning numerous accolades, solidifying his status as a cultural icon. Music. Global sensation by 1956, Presley had become an international sensation, ushering in a new era of American music and popular culture with his unique blend of musical influences. He sold over 300 million albums and holds the record for gold, platinum, and multi-platinum sales among musicians, with 131 singles and albums achieving those certifications. He was known as the king of rock and roll. Musical influence, Presley's music and style inspired countless artists and opened doors for rock musicians for the future. He won 3 Grammy Awards. You would think he had won more. He had 30 number one hits on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. His best-selling single, It's Now or Never, sold over 20 million records. Box office star, Blake. He starred in 31 movies as well as 2 concert documentary films. He transitioned successfully from music to acting, becoming a major movie star. He was known for his charitable work, donating to various charities and those in need. Other notable achievements. He built Graceland, popular tourist destination and symbol of his legacy. Elvis stamp, a commemorative stamp, was issued in his honor. He received numerous posthumous honors and solidifying his doing blah, blah, blah. One of the 10 outstanding young men of the nation. He was named one of the 10 outstanding young men of the nation. I don't know by who, though. So there you have it, Blake. We've got Matthew McConaughey versus the king of rock and roll, sexiest man alive versus sexiest man not alive. Died on the shitter. Big drug head. But allegedly. Who are you taking?
I got some more fun facts about Elvis here, Ronnie. He was a natural blonde, one of the few guys that was born blonde but decided to dye their hair black. Never performed outside North America, which if you watch that Elvis movie that came out a few years ago, you know that's Tom Hanks' fault. Let's see. He had an identical twin.
Why didn't Tom Hanks want him to perform outside?
Because the colonel didn't have a passport and wasn't who he said he was, I believe. And if he tries to go across, if he tries to go out of the country, they would discover him, and his whole racket that he's stealing Elvis's money would have been caught. But he once flew across the country just for a sandwich, Ronnie, which consisted, it's called Fool's Gold Loaf, a sandwich made with an entire loaf of bread, peanut butter jelly, and a pound of bacon.
That's great.
Yeah, we need to do an episode where we eat that sandwich.
I would do that.
Let's see. And that's it. And for that reason, I got to.
Or is it me? Is it me?
It's you. I'm sorry. He's also a black belt in karate, Ronnie. I need to throw that out there.
Dude, Elvis. Elvis wins this. When you think, look, both of these guys, this is the closest. This is like the wheel did us justice right here because this is a solid 4 or 5 matchup because they are equal. Matthew McConaughey's made probably hundreds of millions of dollars, and he struggled. It wasn't until those looks got just right and he got the right role that, I mean, he could have forever been known as the guy who said, hey, hey, hey.
He really wasn't until he got to like mid-40s. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, he got older and the looks were there. He had the right role, and boom, it took off. It just makes people go, lucky white boy. And he took advantage of it, dude. He's took advantage of it. He's become a better actor. He's into sports. He loves Texas. But Elvis, dude, rock and roll, the dancing. He had a colonel. He had the Memphis Mafia. He's got all that, stuff behind him. He's got a crew with him. He knows karate. He did movies. He got all the women. He got all the guys. He got everybody. Elvis is my pick to advance right here.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of Elvis, I think of two things. I think of our Aunt Chrissy, and I think of legend. And because of that, I got to go Elvis, Ronnie. I love Ed TV. I'm one of the few guys. I like the lesser-known McConaughey movies. I like Ed TV. I like that movie where he like lives with his parents or some shit. He How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or something like that.
Bullshit.
But I gotta go Elvis, man. I gotta go Elvis. Huge movie star. Huge dicks. Shaking that ass on the stage. Eating peanut butter. Like you said. Dying on the shitter. Gotta go Elvis for ultimate white boy.
Semifinals of this bracket. John Wayne, the number 1 seed, versus Tim Allen. You'll lead this one off, Blake. We've talked about their accomplishments and what we think of them. Who are you taking, John Wayne or Tim Allen?
You put a stack of Tim Allen movies here and a stack of John Wayne movies here, I take Tim Allen. If you put these two on a stage to talk to me or do stand-up, I'm going Tim Allen.
If you ask the average, you have to go back to people our dad's age. Yes, the average dad of us, of our generation, who's your favorite Western guy? Who's your favorite movie guy? They're going to say John Wayne.
See, I was going to say there's an argument they say Clint Eastwood.
There is an argument they say Clint Eastwood.
If you word it like that.
There you go. You got me on that one.
You put John Wayne and Tim Allen in a ring and say, y'all fight. I don't know how that turns out.
Well, it depends on if Tim Allen's on coke. If he's on coke,
Tim Allen,
yeah, he's going to be tough.
And John Wayne just pretended to be a tough guy.
It's true. A lot of people said he might have been.
We see, currently all these actors who played these roles so much they think they're tough guys. Like Robert De Niro, like he thinks he's a tough guy. Sean Penn, they all think they're tough and they're 170-pound idiot. I'm going Tim Allen over John Wayne. Upset.
You know, this whole tournament's centered around you going, that's a white guy. That's a white guy's luck. That's typical white guys.
Yeah.
And I said it before, and I'll say it again. Tim Allen, Coke to the bed, Coke to the GOAT. I'm going to take Tim Allen. John Wayne, due respect to John Wayne. He was his guy in his generation, but Tim Allen's the choice of a new generation like Pepsi in 1990. So I'm going Tim Allen to advance to the finals, Blake.
I love it.
Now our last semifinal matchup, battle of singers right here, Blake. Elvis versus Kenny Rogers. I'll go first. I love Kenny Rogers, love that chicken, love the gambler. You got to know when to hold them, and in this case, you got to know when to fold them. I'm taking Elvis over Kenny Rogers right here.
Yeah, it's tough to be a singer in this bracket and to get matched up with Elvis Presley. Sorry, Kenny. You had a good run. You beat Scott Hall. You made it to the second round. You made it to the round of 32 or whatever.
Which is more than Ronald Reagan did and George Washington.
Yeah, I mean, you accomplished a lot. You got a lot going for you. But unfortunately, it's the way the bracket falls. You went up against Elvis and you lost to what could be the greatest of all time. So Elvis advances to the finals for me.
All right, so real simple. Finals of this John Wayne bracket are number 6 seed Tim Allen versus number 5 seed, a 5 and a 6 seed here in the finals, Elvis. That's a dangerous 5 seed now that I look at what the Wheel's done. They've put a monster there at the 5 seed. Blake, who are you taking? Or is it me first this time? No, it's you first. Who are you taking, Elvis or Tim Allen, to win the John Wayne bracket?
Elvis made a ton of money in such a short time. Tim Allen has what we in the business call syndication of Home Improvement and of the new show. And I don't know what he's getting paid for all these Toy Story movies being on Disney Plus forever. I got to go Tim Allen over Elvis, Ronnie.
Okay, so I'm going to throw a scenario out there because if you bring Elvis to 2025.
He'd never make it.
But if you take Tim Allen back to the 60s, 50s, and 60s, he'd make it.
Yeah.
He would be good in movies. He would be good.
Legal.
Yes. Elvis is the guy. Elvis is the guy, but that star burnt bright and burnt out quick. And Tim Allen's still going. He's 90. So Tim Allen wins the John Wayne bracket.
An argument here is Elvis dying before the 80s really benefited him, Ronnie.
Yes, because he didn't have the opportunity to embarrass himself more than he already did.
Exactly. I mean, I think Elvis wouldn't have been as big today if he would have made it all the way through the 80s and then died. I mean, and I don't have a reason for that. You're probably like, what does that mean? Like, I just think with all the music that came out in the 80s, if he would have still had a presence there, and then all the movies in the 80s that they would have said, hey, Elvis, you want to be in it? You want to be in the background of, Home Alone in the airport scene?
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's do it, baby.
Let's do it, man. Pay me in peanut butter, if you will. Tim Allen thrived in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. Tim Allen wins this bracket for me.
There you go. So that is the John Wayne bracket. Tim Allen advances to the Elite Eight, to the championship bracket.